Welcome back to Prof E Plays. I'm Prof E, and we are going to be in this episode making a character specifically for Savage Worlds Adventure Editions. This is something that comes from Pinnacle Entertainment Group, as you can see on my PDF on the screen. This is another one of those where I bought a Humble Bundle a while back that had loads of stuff in it, and this is one of them that was, interestingly enough, not in that bundle. Instead, what was in that bundle was the Savage Worlds based Deadlands setting book, which you cannot play without Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. So I spent another I don't know, like $6, $7, maybe $10. I forget exactly for the PDF of this core book. So I can now make a character for that game. But I'm going to do Savage Worlds first. So the first thing I want to do is figure out what kind of character I want to make. So one of the things about Savage Worlds is that it is a just kind of a generic um, system for which there are several settings. I mentioned Deadlands as being one that I happen to own. There are lots of other settings out there too, right? So I had to think about, so what do I want to do? So I could have just gone straight to Deadlands, and that's a possibility, but I think that I want to get a feel for the system first. So before I go into that, I think I am just going to make a more generic character. So I was thinking about this, and I realized that a lot of the stuff that I'm making in this series are going to be fantasy because a lot of games are fantasy. I also currently have, at the time that I am recording this, one of the things that's being released regularly is my apocalypse world stuff. So going post-apocalyptic feels redundant. I'm not going to do that. Then I also thought about I like sci-fi. I really enjoy sci-fi, but I also have an ongoing sci-fi series using Cepheus Engine, so I don't want to do a sci-fi character. And I finally settled on one of the games that I played when I was in college was Mage the Ascension. So this is in the old world of darkness. I think now they call it the Chronicles of Darkness, maybe. In any case, so it was the same period of time more or less as Vampire the Masquerade. Just came out a little bit after that game, but it happens in the same world, right? So this is an urban fantasy setting, right? So that is what I kind of have in mind here is the world of Mage the Ascension, and I am going to be creating a magic user, right? So this would be kind of modern day. But magic is real, right? But it is kind of undercover, right? Because I'm very much like in many of these types of settings, if people knew about magic, that would create problems. So magic is underground. So I was thinking about this, and I was talking to my wife, and gave the reason that I just gave, and she said, "Well, you do have a character that exists in every world, right?" So there's this one mage that I made, that I named him R, just the letter R. And the reasoning from that came from when I was a kid, like in middle school, and I first learned about chat rooms because that was what people did on the internet at that point in time. Right? Um, I naturally use a pseudonym, right? But I was not creative, so I just typed the letter R, just a capital R, and that was who I was right in the chat rooms. So this mage is kind of a techno mage. So that's what I'm going to be creating here. It's kind of a techno mage. His dress is a certain stereotype, I suppose. He wears dark glasses. The dark glasses actually have computer screens built into them, so very much like, say, Google Glass, something like that. He wears a trench coat. The trench coat actually covers up some electronics that he has, right, wired in that. Uh, Kind of all black is the way that he dresses. So I want to create that character. And that's what we're going to do right now in Savage World. So I think that anytime I run into one of these just like generic, no specific setting, no specific genre kinds of things, I think I'm going to recreate R. And we'll see what different kinds of twists, right, get put on this character as we try to stick him in these different worlds. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing it says you start with a general idea of what you want to play. Your setting book likely provides many ideas. Well, this would be, I'm going to play R, so I'm actually going to go ahead and put his name on. There we go. So R is his name. Ancestry. So what's his ancestry? Apply any bonuses or special abilities that it grants? Well, he's just human. So as a human being, one of the things in Savage Worlds that you get is you get a free edge. So edges are In some sense, abilities, but they're not really something you roll. I guess they're traits that are to your benefit, is probably the best way to describe that. Okay. Next thing it says hindrances. You can select up to 4 points of hindrances. Major hindrances are worth 2 points, minor are worth 1 point. So let's go ahead and look at my hindrances and see what I want to do for him. Now, I think it makes sense he's going to have some hindrances. Um, what do I want them to be, though? Hmm. So I'm just reading through the list. We have all thumbs. You're not good with electronics, so obviously it's not true. Anemic is a -2 to vigor when resisting fatigue. Maybe. Arrogant likes to dominate your opponent. I don't feel like that's who R is. Bad eyes is a no. Bad luck, no. Actually, I want to do the opposite. Because if we're making a solo character, it's a good idea to give them some kind of edge like that. Um, Big mouth, no. Blind, no. Bloodthirsty, no. Can't swim, that's possible. That's kind of a minor one. Maybe cautious. Cautious, maybe. Cautious. Oh wait. Um, driven, no. Enemy. The character has a recurring nemesis. Maybe. Maybe we could do that. Um, I'm just yeah, flipping through. Hesitant, no. Illiterate, definitely not. Loyal, mean, mild-mannered, mute, no. Obese, obligation, one arm, one eye. Outsider might work. Maybe. Overconfident, I don't think so. Pacifist, no, he's not. Phobia, I don't think so. Poverty, no. Quirk, no. Ruthless, not really. Secret, I'm gonna say no. Shamed, no. Slow, not really. Small, stubborn, suspicious. Ooh. Oh, I like the idea of suspicious. Okay, so let's actually put that in as a hindrance. So he's going to take suspicious as a major hindrance, which means allies take -2 to support him. Okay, so that's 2 points of hindrances, and we get another 2 points as well. Oh, I like the idea of him being wanted. Yeah, wanted and major. So the reasoning behind this one, part of his backstory, if you look at the game Mage the Ascension, you have the mages that practice magic, then you have the technocracy, which practices magic but calls it technology. And he was a former technocrat who then joined the mages in what were called the virtual adepts. That was the group, and a lot of them, like the way they were first formed, was that they actually left the technocracy as a group, right? So it's not unusual to find former technocrats in this group. Okay, so that would be the hindrances that he has. So we have a total of 4 points coming from that. All right. Next, then we need to look at attributes. Right. So with attributes, attributes start at a D4, and you have 5 points to distribute amongst them. Each step costs 1 point. Attributes may not be raised above a D12. So the way this works, in terms of the system, you have different dice. So you have a D4, D6, D8, D10, and D12, and you roll that die along with, if you're a player character, along with a D6, and you take the high roll between those two things, and that determines whether you succeed or fail, with the target number typically being a 4. Now, may have penalties or something based on difficulty, but that's the typical uh, thing you're doing, right? So everything starts to we have 5 points. So you can be a perfectly balanced character, so just sixes all the way down the line. So you're just totally average. I don't think that's going to be the case for R. R, I think, is higher in smarts, so I think I'm going to give him. Should I go 8 or 10? I'm going to say 10 in smarts, 8 in spirit. So that means I've spent 1, 2, 3, 4. I've already spent my 5 points, so everything else would be a d4. There we go. All right. That was quick. Then skills, right? So there are these core skills: athletics, common knowledge, notice, persuasion, and stealth. Everybody gets those at a d4 level. Okay. And then you also get a certain number of points. You have 12 points to put into these or any other skill. You can also, now here there's a limitation in that each skill is associated with an attribute. To raise above the associated attribute, you need to spend 2 points for each point. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and look at a skill list here if I can find it. I actually don't see a skill list anywhere. That's kind of surprising to me. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm just blind. That's all. So I know one thing that he would definitely have. He would have. I think that. So putting him into a Savage Worlds, there are a bunch of different ways you can get your powers, and I think the one that fits best for him is not actually magic. So magic is an option, but I think weird science actually fits better because the way that weird science works is that it works through various devices, and I think that's very much his style. So I think that that's what I'm going to do. So it is weird science, and this is based on smarts, which means I can do up to a B10 without any problems. Okay, so other skills, let's see, you could have some academics. Academics would just also be smarts. Battle would be like your tactics. Boating, I don't think he has anything to do with boating. So common knowledge, this is also smart base. I'm going to put a note for this. There, that's smart based. Drive, I mean, he can drive, I assume. Electronics. Electronics definitely makes sense. So electronics is also smarts based. All right. Electronics. Faith. I don't think Faith's really into faith. Fighting would be skilled in armed and unarmed combat. Although shooting is another ability. So I think he's more inclined to shoot than to fight. So I'm going to give him the shooting ability. Although this is based on uh, agility, I believe. Yes, that's correct. All right. What else? Haunt, thievery, survival. No, those don't really seem to fit him. Science would make some degree of sense. So science would be more theoretical knowledge. So that's also smarts based. All right. A repair. A repair also makes sense. All right. Occult. Interestingly, I don't think occult's going to work because he's much more on the weird science side of things. Certainly, he's not a performer. Language, I'm gonna say no. No, I don't think intimidation, healing, hacking, definitely hacking. He's definitely that kind of character. Hacking, I believe that's also smarts based. Yep. Gambling, I don't think so. And we already mentioned fighting. Okay, so we've got some things here that we're going to be adding to. Um, all right, so remember 12 points. So anything smarts based, we can take up to a 10. So let's spend our points. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I'm going to back off of hacking and increase electronics. There we go. I think that's what he is. I'm really surprised at how low a lot of these are. Like that is honestly surprising to me. All right. Well, the next step. So we've got our skills. Next would be our derived statistics. So the standard pace is 6 inches, unless you have some kind of hindrance that would affect that, and I don't. Then we need parry. It says parry is 2 plus half your fighting skill. Well, fighting skill is 0. So there, 2. That's easy to calculate. All right, and then toughness is 2 plus half of vigor plus any armor. Well, we don't have any armor yet, but vigor is 4, so we're going to have a toughness of 4. Okay, there we go. Excellent. Next thing would be edges. So we can use any leftover hindrance points to take edges if you like. Each edge costs 2 hindrance points. So we have one, we get a free edge, and then we also get 4 more points of edges. So we have a total then of 3 edges that we can take. So let's check the edges list. All right, so the edges list, I know one thing that we absolutely must take is arcane background. So mark it down there, arcane background, specifically weird science. All right. And I just keep bumping my tablets. I just keep losing the thing that I'm supposed to be looking at. All right. So that's one. Then I can take up to two more edges. Okay. When I'm looking, I'm thinking luck would be a good one. All right. Okay. Although well, this is something that's an N, so I can put it down here. So this would just be luck. Luck means you get plus one Benny at the beginning of each session. Bennies you can spend for a number of things, so things like rerolls, for example. So I would get three. No, normally you get three, so I guess I would get four then at the beginning of each session. There you are. Oh, let's do height. Height. I'm gonna make him about my height, so that'd be 5'8", so 68 inches. Weight. I think he's a bit thinner than I am, so I'm gonna go with how much I weighed in high school. 135. All right, there we go. So we still get one more edge. Um, so looking at the edges, something that might be helpful. What might be helpful here? And actually, they're all helpful. Um, quick is pretty nice. Well, then there are specific combat edges, leadership edges, power edges. Oh, okay. So these power edges, I can get. Okay, knows two new powers. Okay, that makes sense. Let's do that. Let's do new powers. All right, so I'm gonna claim that one. Cool. And then there were a bunch of other edges that I could have claimed, but I think that this is a reasonable balance. So we have luck to kind of offset the fact that playing a single character. And then what's the next thing we need? Next thing it says is gear. So $500 worth of equipment is what we're looking at then. So looking at the common gear here. So what kind of stuff would he have? So he gets $500 worth. I think it makes sense. One, and like he's gonna have like computer kind of stuff. Right, so technological gear. Ah, here we go. So I think it makes sense. Computers and electronics. Yeah, let's give him a laptop. That would be that's more than $500, so never mind. So I'm just gonna say handheld then. That's $250, so there we are. Just the way there. I'm gonna say he also has his winter gear, which would be his coat. So I'm just gonna say trench coat as well. That'd be another, say, $200 if we're following here. So I only have $50 left. So $50, that's not very much. And I don't know that I could actually afford a weapon if I keep with this. All right, so let me check. Personal weapons, modern. Oh no, that these are melee. Ranged weapons. Okay, no, I'm not gonna count a knife as a ranged weapon. All right. Yeah, I can't actually afford like a gun at all. Which is okay. Which is okay. Like he has magic. He has magic, so we're okay. Modern armor. Okay, actually that would give him one armor his jacket because I'm gonna say it's a reasonably thick coat. So I'm just gonna say trench coat. This is at a plus one. Okay. Which actually, if I counted as armor, it only costs 100. So then together we'd be at 350. So I do have $150. So actually, maybe I will take some kind of firearm, like the equivalent of a police revolver might work. Yeah, let's put that in. Let's see. Oh, right here, I can write it down. So police revolver. You never know, you might get in trouble and not have any power left. So police revolver, its range is 10/20/40. It tells you what's short range, medium range, and long range, and it can shoot in extreme range up to 4 times long range. Damage is going to be 2d6. AP, none. Rate of fire is just one, so I get one shot around, and there are 6 shots that can go into it. Oh, the weight is just 2. Okay, and I'm just gonna mark here it's 6 shots. All right, there we go. All right, and that spends all of my money. That's it. So handheld computer. Okay. I think that that will cover the equivalent there. The last thing that I need then to think about is my powers and what those are going to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the powers list here. Okay. Powers, contents, powers. Good. So your starting powers. The number of okay, so as in weird science, you naturally get two starting powers. I took the new powers edge, which means I know four powers. I get a total of 15 power points, right? So I don't know where I put that. Um, I don't know. That's not really gear and edge. I guess I'll just put here. So I guess 15 PP power points. Okay. All right. And weird scientist trappings, right? That would be like the inventions that you work through. Okay. So we need to flip through here and find. And so I'm not going to bother talking too much about the trappings. Specifically, I want to look at the powers that are available to me, and I believe there is a summarized power list here somewhere. So the type of magic that the virtual adepts focused on was what we call correspondence magic, which correspondence magic is all about the connections between things, which give you powers like farsight or teleportation, these types of things. So that is the kind of power that I'm looking for here, right? So I mean, naturally, it would be kind of nice to have powers like blast or what have you, although that requires a level higher than what I have. So looking, dark sight deflection, detect or conceal arcana, dispel, not really. Elemental manipulation, maybe. Uh, empathy, no, that's more socially oriented. Farsight would fit his style, but at the same time, he doesn't yet have enough background for him to be able to qualify for that one because it requires a little bit higher rank in terms of your abilities. Uh, Havoc, not really. Healing, illusion. I could see illusion actually working reasonably well for him. So I'm going to put that in as one power. So illusion, right? So we can think of it as like holographic projection, that kind of thing, right? So PowerPoint's 3, it's range SM. Okay. So assume it's a small range or something like that. Then duration of 5, and the effect is creates imaginary images. Right, then I need 3 more powers. Okay, intangibility. Oh, okay, light and darkness would be an option. Mind link and mind reading would be another one. Um, I don't think so. Protection grants you additional armor. Oh, I forgot to put here. Toughness with armor in there. Okay. I know that I didn't put that in there correctly for what they want. Uh, smite. Okay, smite sound or silence speak language. Stun. Oh, stun might actually work. Yeah, let's do stun. I could see that being kind of done at Techie Lee. Okay. 2 PowerPoints for that one. SM again. Duration is indefinite, and target is stunned. Or maybe it's immediate, but whatever I stands for. All right. Oh, teleport. Teleport is an option here, but yeah, he needs to be higher level to be able to do that. All right. The character teleports up to 12 inches distant. Okay. Okay. I just had a flashback to when I was watching Me, Myself, and Die a while back, and he was talking about like the original D&D where everything was written in inches. So he, as a child reading this, imagined it very much like I just did, right? That is, okay, you move an inch, right? So, like you move this much? No, okay. 12 inches of table space. That makes significantly more sense. So this is like you can teleport yourself like 60 feet, or I think a little bit more than that, actually. Okay. So, but at the very least, I can't do that right now. So what we can do, uh, I need 2 more powers that make sense for him. Of those, Beast Friend definitely does not make sense. Blind maybe might make sense. I mean, Bolt would be fine, I suppose. Um, Boost? Boost is an interesting one to me. Um, Actually, I'm thinking about going back and saying maybe I don't actually need new powers right now. Instead, there might be another option for an edge that would be better. Because I was just remembering, I think there is an edge called something, I don't know if it's Jack of all trades, but it's something along those lines. Fast learner, maybe. So I think that that might actually be a better use of my hindrance points. Or I could just eliminate a hindrance for that matter. Just say, okay, maybe I'm not wanted after all. So I'm going to go back and see if I can find that fast learner or something like that. Fast learner, jack of all trades, because I know that what allows you to do is to study up on something, and then that gives you. Oh, it's not a combat edge, background edge. There we go. Fa no, fast healer is not it. Okay. Brave and charismatic. No. Fame, definitely not. Fast healer, no fleet-footed linguist. No. Luck, no. Quick, no. No. Courage, no. Combat, no. That's what I want. It's not going to be leadership either. It's not a power edge. Oh, Jack of all trades that is what it's called. That is what it's called. You have to have a D10 at smarts, which I think I do have. Oh, I do. Excellent. So I'm going to take that instead. So instead of new powers, I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and instead it's going to be Jack of all trades. And what Jack of all trades allows you to do, here, I'll just read you the description real quick. You can gain a D4 in a skill or a D6 with a raise until it's replaced. So what you can do, you study up a on a particular skill, right? And then you can take that at a low level, right? So this gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of what you can do, right? So let me pull this up here again with more detail. Right? So it allows you to learn things on the fly. So you make a smarts roll as an action after observing or studying some subject. Then you get a D4 on the relevant skill with success or a D6 with a raise, and then you may try again after an hour of study, trial, or and effort, or immersion if you fail and want to try for a raise. This lasts until the character attempts to learn a different subject, whether you're successful or not. Right. So the idea here is that you can temporarily gain a skill simply because you're a smart person, is what it boils down to. But then once you learn a different skill, you lose this one. So I think that's a good way to generalize his abilities that way. All right. So that is that. As far as I can tell, I don't actually have anything else I have to do at this point. Nope, we're all good. So that is R, created in Savage Worlds. Uh, so here, me definitely not having much clue what I was doing. With some vague ideas of how to do this. You can see it took me about half an hour, and that's including a bunch of chattering about like what kind of character this is and all of that. So I think this looks like a pretty good option. Anyway, thank you for watching, and this is Prof E signing off.